in our 20s. Not quite there yet. The brain is still developing. Hi there, welcome back to another episode of Let's Circle Back. We're your host, I'm Hebe.
I'm Valentina.
And today we have a very special anniversary episode. Technically, it will be 2 weeks after LCB's birthday when you watch this, but we filmed 2 days before. So for us, right now, it is approaching the birthday of this podcast. And after talking about some really heavy topics for the past 2 episodes, we decided, why not do something more positive and circle back to just this podcast and kind of talk about what we've done up to this point.
Yeah, especially because, oh wait, I'm not holding my mic. Especially because I feel like we are in a time where we're getting new viewership and people might not have been watching since the very beginning, which, by the way, totally fine. I always recommend just starting from the video episodes and going from there. But before we actually get into it, your daily reminder that this podcast is not affiliated with any brands or companies. All opinions are our own, and our inclusion of any content in this episode is protected by fair use laws. Back to you.
Yes, look how professional we sound now. In the beginning, we were struggling.
Yeah, we didn't even know about fair use laws.
I guess the most proper way to start it off is by talking about some of our favorite episodes that we've ever recorded. And last night we were pulling together like a list of all the episodes we've done before. I'm pretty shocked. I forgot a couple of them, in fact.
Yeah, it's because we've done quite a few, and I don't know if I think it's like 25 or 26, and maybe that's not that many, but if you think about it, we've been doing bi-weekly episodes for a year, covering a lot of different topics, so I'm very proud of myself. I think when I was thinking of my favorite episode, it was kind of hard to pick just one, but I really liked our first video episode. I was going back through the beginning of it, and I realized we were a little bit awkward because we'd never recorded video before. But I feel like it was a very pivotal moment for us where we started getting a little bit more comfortable talking without reading off a script and relying more on outlines instead of predetermined sentences. So that was like one of my favorites that we've done so far.
Ooh. For me, okay, let me pick one from the videos and then season 2. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
And then the ones we did with pure audio and with free trials for like 9 months. From more recent times, I really, really liked the Whimsy episode. It was so fun to talk about because it's very relatable, something we're doing or hoping to achieve. And then in terms of a non-video episode, I really like the Labubu one.
Well, yes. That was one of our best ones.
For sure.
I think if that one had been video, it would have gotten a lot of views. In my humble opinion.
We missed the opportunity to start up.
We could always do it again.
For sure. And also, has literature lost the plot? The one about books.
Oh, yes. That one. That's one I forgot about. That one's good. One of the ones I wrote down was gaming. And that was another one that I had forgotten about until I saw your list of all the ones that we did. I'm pretty sure gaming was audio only, right? And it was a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
I think gaming is such a fun topic, especially because Hebe and I probably have more exposure to esports and video games than maybe the average person, even though we're not really in that world. But that was a really fun one, and I feel like it will become more relevant as more time passes. Because I don't know if you saw this, but recently Kylie Jenner was on a podcast talking about Legend of Zelda. Like, it's going mainstream.
Is it because of her boyfriend?
Maybe.
Timotei.
That's such an interesting relationship, too.
Were there any that... Oh, I guess we kind of answered this question. Any that we would love to refilm? Maybe circle back to again?
I would circle back to gaming. I would circle back to books. I feel like there's always something to talk about. I feel like maybe we can touch on this later when we kind of talk about topics that didn't come to fruition, but I don't know if this is just bias, but isn't every single book ever becoming a movie now? I feel like I'm seeing so many book to film adaptations. So maybe there's an episode there that we can do in the future.
Or every single celebrity or influencer starting their own book club. There's no way you can read that many books if everyone has a book club. You got to read like 10 books to join 10 discussions with 10 different people you follow.
Also, are they actually reading the books, or do you think they just get someone to write notes for them?
It's giving ChatGPT allegedly.
Yes. Oh, allegedly. Word of the year.
Allegedly. Word of the year. Fun. Okay. Is this a good way to pivot into maybe some things we've noticed after talking about culture, podcasting for every other week?
Yes, let's do it.
So we kind of separated it into like 3 buckets. On personal growth, what we noticed, on what podcasting feels like, and on pop culture, and then just one note on marketing, because marketers here.
Ooh. Okay, on personal growth, I guess I'll go first. I feel like our confidence has really grown, even now looking at our outline versus what our first script, because it really was a script, looked like. I'm like really proud of the fact that we can sit here and have multiple screens going and just sort of talk and maintain good composure. We're very like polite and informed about the things that we say, and we don't make crazy assumptions or jump to conclusions. And I feel like we do a good job of enunciating, keeping the conversation going. So that's been a really fun progression to witness.
For sure. And maybe there's a couple hiccups and awkward silence
Well, yes.
every once in a while, but that's part of the charm. We're just in our 20s, not quite there yet. The brain is still developing, therefore valid.
Exactly.
For me, it was about, okay, maybe this is just me, but it's the first time I've ever committed to something this long. I say it all the time. I've never committed to a project or a hobby or anything, which is really sad, aside from things I need to, such as school, homework. So this is completely powered by intrinsic motivations. And for me, that's a really rewarding thing to have in life, in addition to my 9 to 5. It brings me a lot of fulfillment knowing that I'm creating something on the side and I have so much joy doing so.
I think I feel the same. I don't know if I've done anything else with as much commitment as this, other than maybe like reading books. But even that, I don't know.
Oh, you write.
Oh, I do write. Yes, I guess that's the only other long-term commitment I have that's kind of like mostly for pure enjoyment or self-gratification. But I completely agree. I think one of the things that I noted down on the outline is like, it's actually really fun to have conversations with someone like on the phone. Technically, Hebe and I are on a FaceTime, but instead of texting or writing emails or reading or ChatGPT, which we don't do that. It's like really nice to pick a topic and try to have a really nuanced conversation that also leaves room for you to be a little bit in your 20s. You don't have to have all the answers yet. You're just curious. That's been one of the highlights of my past calendar year.
For sure. It's like picking your brain and using this time to do so instead of going on our phones.
Yeah.
Circling back to one of our episodes, I forgot which one, but I think we talked about this.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't know if anyone knows this, but we film these in the mornings on the weekends. So right now it's a Sunday at 9 a.m. Usually it's either a Saturday or Sunday, typically at 9 a.m. So we're like, I feel like we're building healthy habits, which is not doom scrolling first thing in the morning. Like we're getting out of bed. We're using our brains first thing in the morning. I think Hebe and I are both sitting in front of windows to try to get good lighting, but that's that vitamin D. Look at us.
There's no sun right now, therefore there's
absolutely
none.
no
but
sun.
Typically we do get a little bit. Something came to my mind and then slipped away. You remember the times when, probably towards the very beginning, we tried to film after work, Friday, 5 p.m.s.
Yeah.
That was our first episode. For Matcha, I remember it very distinctively.
Well, we didn't have to worry about anything like where we are or the lighting because it was just audio, but we were so brave for that. Like that was
a different
crazy.
era for sure. Okay, healthy dose of personal growth from this project alone. Do we want to talk about what we learned about podcasts? I can go first.
Go for it.
This time. One, Valentina and I, for the longest time, were using this platform on the internet. Name I will not disclose, but we were using their free trials through every single one of our emails.
Allegedly.
And that was, looking back, very comical to me. Like every other week we were like, okay, so do we use Kiwi's email or Valentina's email. Like, can we borrow Valentina's boyfriend's email too? Until I finally got a camera and we committed to this format.
We did what we had to do to get started. And that's a lesson to say, hey, if you ever have something that you want to do, you can probably do it because we were doing it.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember, but I also had mic issues every episode where the audio quality was just bad for me every single week. But now we figured it out.
Professional camera, professional mic, we have it all. I think something else I learned is just how much goes into post-production. I feel like filming only takes a bit, like an hour, but a lot of the work happens behind the camera. So Valentina is the champ here doing primarily the editing. So I keep on dropping the ball on our social content, but that's something we do now. Before it was just Canva Pro graphics, and now we actually cut out little clips from this recording to do promotional material. So that is really fun. I remember in the beginning, we were struggling to find how to get it onto Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That was really funny. But yeah, just understanding what goes into it and kind of appreciating it.
Yeah, I think something that I noted down is that consistency is hard. Like, we've been doing it bi-weekly. I think we've only skipped a couple of weeks because it was like the holidays or our schedules really didn't line up. But it's tough to record and edit and then go in and have the motivation to create everything after the fact. Hebe's giving me credit for editing the episodes, but she's the one who does basically everything for the socials. So it's really a team sport, and you all have to you have to play the game. But I think it's a really great way to learn, and we are getting like little editing skills, but also trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And we don't have a formula yet for getting ourselves featured on the YouTube homepage, but I think it's interesting to kind of tweak different things and try to figure out what we can do to grow the podcast.
By the time you see this, you may see a rebrand. You might, maybe a difference in our description and whatnot, but
we're leveling up.
It's a year. We have to do something different, you know? We didn't even talk about this, by the way.
But we have ideas.
Exactly. Okay. I think something else that's really fun to talk about is what we learn on pop culture.
Yes.
Since we talk about it every week. I'll start. I feel like basically every other episode you hear us pinning the root of the evil back to social media. And I still feel like it's true. It's kind of the root of all of our problems.
Yeah, social media is a beautiful thing and it enables so much connectivity, but it also like amplifies bad things and creates echo chambers. And I wrote down algorithms and AI are doing a lot of work to silo people off and make our opinions more polarized. So we often blame social media, but I think we're actually pretty spot on with that.
Yeah, because we have talked about boredom, the loneliness epidemic, most recently GLP-1, parasocial relationship with celebrities. Even the episode on anime, I think we touched on social media in some way, shape, or form. It's like a great tool to have community, another word we love talking about. But I feel like there's quite a bit of negative side effects that comes out of it.
Yeah. And speaking of words that we love to say, Hebe took the time to actually note down some of the most commonly used phrases that come up. And I think we acknowledge them every time we say them. But I think one that I just wrote down that we didn't have on the list before is overconsumption. I feel like every other episode we say something about overconsumption. And hey, social media is probably a big part of that, which is like, we're kind of in a self-affirming cycle with ourselves where we're like, social media is bad and it causes this. And guess what? That's social media's fault.
Yeah. Other things we talked about is niche and community, especially towards the beginning. But it only goes to show that subcultures are really in, or tighter communities online is really in. People aren't just it's not a monoculture anymore, and maybe I'm ahead of myself, but mainstream isn't cool. Everyone wants to look for something more alternative to kind of boost their own self-identity.
Yeah, and I feel like it's becoming more like in the same train of thought. It's becoming more cool to be unique. especially when you see a lot of homogeneity, not to throw out a scientific term in a place it probably doesn't belong, but like online, if something goes viral, then suddenly everyone has it. And if you're able to maintain your sense of self, that gives you a little bit of, I don't know, social credit in a different way. Whereas
Right.
before,
And
if
then
you were different,
everyone,
you're kind of like weird.
yeah. But now everyone wants to be different. And now we're all the same kind of different.
Yeah.
Oh, where did we talk about that?
I think it was one of the early episodes when we talked about like,
Aesthetics 101.
yeah, that one.
There you go. Go back and listen to it.
Yes. And don't judge my mic. I've come a long way since then. The last word that we always use since we started video, especially, is allegedly. Because every YouTuber says that if you say allegedly, you're safe. And also because we don't have facts all the time. So we're working off some gossip, social media news assumptions. That's why things that we cannot confirm are alleged.
Alleged. Apparently.
Exactly.
Supposedly. See, we don't spread misinformation here. We always cite the source. Always do
Exactly.
that.
I was going to say something that I realized, and I feel like this has actually come up in my classes this week, is that it's really easy to be very negative, especially when looking at the news or social media. And I think it takes more effort to be positive or frame your outlook as positive than it does to just accept all the bad stuff. I don't have more of a nuanced take on that. I just think it's really important for us to all acknowledge the bad stuff and the hard stuff and then try to celebrate the good things when they happen instead of spiraling into like this like catastrophic view of the world because there's only so much we can control. I don't know if that makes any sense.
At the end of the day, pop culture is pop culture. There's fun moments, but also there are bigger things happening in the world, aka famine, war, genocide. So I don't know, maybe because we're all seeing these type of news on social, it's easy to carry over these feelings from post to post. Yeah, it's easy to carry over negative emotions, I feel like. No, I don't know the scientific basis, but I do feel like it lasts a lot longer than the positive ones.
That was so well said.
Something else I also noticed, also related to kind of timing, is things happen and go away so fast. And from our perspective, it's really hard to do an episode anchored to a specific event because of the production timeline. And by the time it comes out, probably people don't care. I think the biggest moments of that was Fashion Week. So we did an episode on fashion, but we didn't exactly anchored it to Fashion Month because the moment was kind of fleeting. Super Bowl is a big one. It happened 2 weeks later. No one cares about it. No one talks about the ad. As marketers, it's kind of, I don't want to say sad to see, but shocking to see, but also not. Because as a consumer, it's like, you're just an ad. No one cares about you 2 weeks after this event. And then I don't know if you recall, but we used to do campaign recaps at the end of every episode. So we talked about our favorite campaigns of the week, but sometimes it's really hard because maybe the week has passed. We really like it, but people probably don't care about it. So it only goes to show things get rinsed and repeated so fast.
I think that's just the nature of a bi-weekly podcast that we have. I think sometimes we're able to hit something really well, like the matcha episode, the Labubu episode. Those were trends that we predicted. Like, we weren't the ones to call it, but we did see it coming and we talked about it. But with things that are a lot more specific or like granular, we can't talk about it right away. We can mention it in hindsight, but we can't dedicate entire episodes to something that will be irrelevant 3 days after it spawns.
Which is really sad because those are really, really fun ideas. Just the nature of how the internet kind of rolls. And us being a two-man team. And just one little note from me on marketing. I think I talked about it when I mentioned Super Bowl, but ads, nobody cares. I think in the 24 episodes we've done, we mention ads like 2 times, if we're being real. a lot of the things we do mention are internet digital native trends that are started by consumers, maybe campaigns that touch on these trends, but never like ad spots in the traditional sense. So I feel like it's kind of over. Unless it's the Super
Maybe.
Bowl. But even the Super Bowl doesn't hit. Very disappointed by the ads this year. Okay, that was really fun. So we did learn a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And we have a segment that we're really, really excited to talk about, kind of to give us credit and also self-reflect. But it's trends that we were right or wrong about.
The first one I already mentioned, matcha. Yes, matcha was already starting to pop off before our episode, but we posted our episode, I think, a few weeks before it was sort of ubiquitous. And I love that word. I'm so sorry if you hear me using it every day now, but right before matcha became like last summer's hype, we posted our episode and we talked about it being a fashion statement. And guess what happened? Like after that, all the Pilates girls, matcha. The performative men, matcha became their drink. So I think that was one that we were really, like, we did a good job of latching onto right before it reached that point in the curve where everyone had adopted it.
Mm-hmm. And it's not saying that we discovered matcha. Matcha has been around for 1,020 years, but it's more of how matcha is presented in this modern landscape. And it's not just a beverage, but like a symbol for something, something to add to your personality.
Yeah.
We called it out. I think another one we predicted for this year is ube. So in the conversation we talked about regarding matcha, we were also speaking of other flavors that I guess companies could mass commercialize, oftentimes rooted in like other ethnic cultures. Ube, what do you know, is everywhere now. Starbucks in particular. I remember when Starbucks came out with their ube flavored drinks. People non-Asian people were discovering it and calling it oob. And they say that they discovered it, but it's like, again, it's been around for so long.
That was one that we really saw coming. And as we said in that episode, what's next? Vietnamese coffee, pandan. We still think, or at least I don't know about you, but I still think that that's coming. And when the mainstream American population gets their hands on pandan leaves, it's over.
Watch out, bro. Watch out. Another one is Labubu's. Labubu.
Oh, we are not serious. Even a year later, we can't. Sorry. We predicted the 24 karat gold Labubu. There's not much to say about that.
Yeah.
I just think
but
we
remember, we did it. But remember how in the very first episode of the year, we talked about how 2027, I'm ahead of myself. Or am I a time traveler? You never know. But for 2026, we won't see another Labubu-esque thing. We still haven't. I just think it's like a one and done situation. Blind boxes are cute, but I think after people bought their numerous Labubus, realized that they can't really do anything with it after people kind of got over the hype. Like, the 24 karat gold Labubu is nowhere to be seen.
She's still missing.
It's missing. So I think people kind of learned from this one episode that it's just a toy. It's overconsumption, and not something you really need. So I still think for the rest of 2026, we won't get another mass purchased coveted item like a Labubu.
Not to pivot super roughly, sorry, but something that maybe we didn't call, but we sort of accurately affirmed were analog hobbies or being offline in our 2026 predictions. I feel like everyone is talking about putting their phones on Do Not Disturb, sort of taking time for themselves, touching grass. And I feel like even more mainstream influencers and celebrities are sort of leaning into video games or more private activities as opposed to just everything is about your phone. Even we have really healthy analog hobbies.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but I've been seeing a couple of videos popping up talking about how the trendification of analog hobbies is sort of ending it. When it becomes a very performative gesture to get off
Yeah.
your phone and commit to analog hobbies, you kind of kill the fun because that defeats the whole purpose. The purpose is to break away from cyclical internet trends and reverting back to just very simple childhood like joys. Another one is live stream shopping. I forgot where and how we touched on this particular subject. I think we have differing views about whether or not we were right or wrong. I feel like this one didn't exactly take off. I think Kim Kardashian did that one Kim's Live, and then it kind of went away. Maybe it's just on a smaller scale that I don't see it, but I think relative to what I was expecting of it, which is like the mega scale of East Asian or particularly Chinese live streaming, it's just not there yet. I've seen a couple of brands starting to do it. Crocs is one big example. So they do
Really?
live streaming like, yeah, every other day. Really funny, but I don't know. I don't know if it like grew that much. I'm still not into it.
I'm definitely still not into it. I don't know if I ever will be. I don't know. Maybe I'm a late adopter. But the reason I think we're sort of accurate on that is that I think it is growing. And I only say that because I feel like when I scroll on TikTok, which is not very often, I'm seeing more and more like live streams come up where people are talking about getting codes and things by watching the live stream. But also, I've been getting a lot of Whatnot ads recently, and they're a live stream platform where I think they're paying a lot of money to recruit influencers and small businesses to get on that platform and encourage people to come watch the live streams and get discount codes or free products. So I think it's in the early stages, but eventually we will be right. I think.
Oh, you know what? We did not mention affiliates on TikTok. Maybe this
True.
is the Western answer to this whole live stream shopping trend, but I see a lot of people who do really silly and also viral videos promoting a product, and then above their name you can like click on the link to purchase. I see a lot of those. Not so much of this live stream.
I
Maybe
hate
that's
the
the answer?
TikTok shop affiliates. I hate it. Get your bag, but also if every video you post is an affiliate link, stop. I'm tired.
But I feel like some people are very candid about it. Some people
Some
just
people.
post those videos, and I was like, okay, get your money, side hustle. Overconsumption. Are people over it? Do you want to take this one?
Yes and no. I think there will always be a market for really like markety overconsumption content because there will always be young impressionable people who are like, oh, I really want this lifestyle. But more and more, I think as people grow up, they also grow out of that, especially as the economy remains unfriendly and the job market remains unfriendly. People are getting sick and tired of influencers, especially being really out of touch. I think there's a different regard for influencers versus celebrities because my understanding is that an influencer's success is more tied to the loyalty of the working class versus a traditional celebrity. But yeah, I think people are getting slowly more sick of it.
AKA the whole James Charles situation. I wouldn't say the downfall, but sort of the losing steam of Becca Bloom, allegedly. I think there's one more celebrity I'm thinking about in my head, but I'm forgetting. But to your point, I do feel like because influencers feel closer to people,
Yeah.
that they feel like, oh, we are on the same team, that if you do something like this, it feels like a betrayal because I literally supported you and your career.
Yeah, exactly.
Like your career is rooted in these people. So, ooh, okay. And then the last one we're wrong about, and very unfortunate, we're very sad about this, is the the downfall of Cat's Eye. Okay, this is a heavy quotation because they're still getting views, but the public sentiment for Cat's Eye is definitely mixed now. So icons do not come after us. I think there are people who are still around to support, but there's also a lot of people with questions about what is happening to the group in the direction of the members, but also in the directions of their music.
Yeah, I think if you're an OG listener, you'll remember that we always brought up Cat's Eye. At first, it was sort of coincidental, and then we made it a comedic thing where every episode we mentioned something that Cat's Eye was doing because we are pretty big fans. But it kind of feels like Cat's Eye has gotten into quite a bit of drama or involved in controversy. Not the crazy, like, problematic kind in a traditional sense, just internal warfare that I don't think many people saw coming. At least I didn't. And
I didn't
things
either.
are still playing out, but it's a very unfortunate result to a group that had the potential to really break a lot of boundaries in the music industry. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
And I think that is one, the disappearance of Manon. Come back, girl.
We miss you.
And some members' families being a little messy in the comments. Wink, wink.
That was crazy.
But I think also the direction of their music.
Oh, yes.
The consecutive they're not hits, but like Gnarly, Internet Girl, and Pinky Up, I think really cut it for me. Gnarly was fun. It was not a conventional song at all. Very, how would you even describe it? Internet coded, very nonsensical. And I thought that was a great one-off because it really broke away from their previous song. But to do it 2 more times really exhausts the listeners. And I think Hype is just not using the girls' potentials. Like, they don't deserve Pinky Up.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They deserve better.
What was interesting about Gnarly is that it was also very novel. And then they did it again, but also the entire K-pop industry started doing the same thing. And then they did Internet Girl and Pinky Up. And now it feels like that type of song and also similar, like the Blackpink Jump formula. That's kind of the only 2 things that are getting released right now. But to Hebe's point, it's anyone who knows Cat's Eye past like the first listening moment knows that those are very talented young women. And the music that they're releasing doesn't really do justice to all of the work they've put in and what they could do. So I think, I don't know if it's like some kind of marketing strategy, any attention is good attention, but would love to see them go back closer to a Gabriella direction, which was a really fun, like musically challenging or impressive song versus just like the anti-drop chorus that doesn't showcase anyone's vocal ability. I don't know. Yeah, it's all subjective, but that's our opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still crying a little bit over it. Come back, old Cat's Eye. Not even old Cat's Eye, another Cat's Eye, another version.
New Cat's Eye.
New Cat's Eye. Okay, so I think that cleanly wraps up trends we were right or wrong about, or things we were right and wrong about, and we're hitting a really good minute mark. Do we want to quickly talk about episodes and ideas that haven't materialized, but we've talked about quite a bit as we were planning all these past 24 episodes?
Yeah, I think since the beginning, we've been thinking about doing a full episode dedicated to AI in all of its capacity, but it's just such a big topic, at least in my view, that we haven't gotten around to it because it's quite a hefty task and not a fun one, I think. Like, neither one of us is looking forward to looking into AI and talking about it.
It's like something that needs to be said, but we don't want to say it because it's so negative. At least, and we're not a big fan of it, so.
The elephant is in the room, but we are both closing our eyes. It's kind of that feeling.
Yes, we pretend not to see. Like, who is she? Another one is live stream shopping. Again, we've been talking about this. I just don't know how to crack open this nut because there's not a lot of good examples out in the West. I feel like a lot of it is still in the East, in China in particular. So, but I still think it's like a really interesting shopping model. Because I see this behavior in my cousin who's Chinese, and it's so fascinating to me. But I don't know. I just don't know how it comes to life here.
Well, maybe that's something that we can do in the future, and we can focus mostly on where it exists already.
Exactly. And then lastly, I think this one would involve quite a bit of research because I think it's a really fun one and very prevalent, but it's food as a status symbol. So I'm thinking about like the way that Erewhon can price up to like $20 for a drink, or Nara Smith creating food or anything from scratch, and just the whole aesthetic of her brand. I'm thinking about how a lot of, especially nowadays, a lot of beauty brands collab with food brands in their campaign shots, and it gives it a really full, saturated, like a very luxurious look. So, and food is a luxury. I mean, a lot of people don't have access to healthy or like groceries, and instead have to go towards like fast food, which I know a lot of people probably don't want, but maybe that is the more feasible option for them in their area. So
yeah, I think this is definitely one that we can do in the future. And like you said, I think it would be a fun one and one that we can get a lot out of.
yes. Okay, I think this is a good break. Was not expecting it to run this long.
Same.
But we say that every single time.
And we always do it.
Yep, and we're both a little under the weather, if you can't hear it from our voices, and the sniffles I've had during this whole episode.
Yeah, the congestion is bad today. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, this very special, congested anniversary episode of Let's Circle Back. Again, like Hebe said, this will be 2 weeks after the anniversary, but it is the 1 year mark for us. So if you've been here since the first episode, thank you. If you joined today, also thank you. It's been such a fun journey for us, and we're really excited to see where the podcast takes us. You want to do the follow, like, share?
Yes. Oh my God, Valentina slayed with that outro. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Leave us a comment. What do you think? What do you want to see in the future? In addition, we also post some more content across our social pages. So there's Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn for Microba Girlies. So yeah, with that, we will see you in the next episode. We've been your host. I'm Hebe.
I'm Valentina.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.